Winning Blueprint presents.
Draft Zone.
Welcome to the Draft Zone. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. This is the 2013 NFL Draft Wrap-Up Series. What we aim to do with this series is break down the 2013 NFL Draft of every single team in the National Football League. Today, we'll be talking about the Green Bay Packers and what they were able to accomplish with their 11 draft picks in this draft. Now, looking at the Packers and what they were able to do isn't going to be easy. There are several different factors that we take into consideration other than the pick itself. We'll break down each and every single pick with our baseball grading scale. Single, double, triple, home run. There are no strikeouts here in the draft wrap-up series, as we can never tell if these players are going to work out in the league or not. And each player for every team has a different grade. So what the Packers perceive as a second-round pick, another team, like the Detroit Lions, might see as a fifth-round selection. And so we can never tell if a team reached for another player or not. If it's your guy, get your guy. And so there are no strikeouts here in the draft wrap-up series. But to get our scores, what we will do is look at the player that was selected itself. Also, we'll look at how this player might impact the Green Bay Packers in the 2013 season and possibly moving forward. We'll also look at the pick itself, how it was made, and where it was made. Did you acquire this pick from another team? Did you trade back and gain other picks? So there are a lot of things that go into grading out each and every single pick made, but we will grade them out, get an aggregate score for the Green Bay Packers as a whole in this draft, and then we'll move on from there. So, as always, I've got my draft board behind me, and if you've been following this series, you know just how big a part of this series the handy-dandy pointer has been. But I'm here to sadly report that he is currently out of commission, and so in his place will be the magic wand. So I've got the magic wand, a very capable replacement, and as we know in the National Football League, next man up. So I've got the magic wand, got the draft board. Let's get to work with the Green Bay Packers and talk about this very lengthy draft that the Packers have put together. So you look at the Packers and their needs, and for a team that's really good, with the best quarterback in the league, and consistently winning double-digit games every year, winning their division just about every single year, it's funny to look up here and see all of these needs. But every single one of these needs are actually needs for the Green Bay Packers. You look at safety, no more Charles Woodson. He's gone. And there's some question marks back there as to, are there enough playmakers back there in the secondary at the safety position for the Green Bay Packers? That's the position that they need to address. You look at running back. Look, we've known the struggles for the Packers with this running back by committee system for the last couple of years. It's time for the Packers to stop that. They've been very, very egotistical in that sense. They feel like, hey, we've got Aaron Rodgers, probably the best receiving corps in the league. We don't need to run the ball. We can do whatever we want, when we want. And if we feel like running the ball, we'll run it, and we'll stick a guy in there and we'll just run the football. Well, it's starting to backfire. The Packers realize that. And the one thing I can appreciate about the Green Bay Packers, they've been bypassing the running back position for a while, but they realize, okay, it's time for us to stop being naive and thinking that we don't need to run the ball as effectively as all the rest of the teams around the league. So that's a need, and the Packers went ahead and addressed it. We'll talk about that here in a second. You look at defensive line. The Packers had an issue stopping the run last year. This was never more evident than when they played the San Francisco 49ers and when they played the Minnesota Vikings last season. Both games against the Vikings, they were shredded by Adrian Peterson. They were able to calm him down in the playoffs, but that was more due in part to no Christian Ponder than it was the Packers actually being really good on the defensive side of football. Frank Gore and Colin Kaepernick did whatever they want, whenever they wanted on this defense. So defensive line definitely a need for the Packers. Offensive line, I think people made more of a deal out of this than what it really was. I think injuries really hurt the Packers more so than them just not having a good offensive line. I think sometimes we're too quick to judge a book by its cover. Now look, what you put on the field is what you're going to be judged by. And the Packers consistently last season put an inferior product in front of Aaron Rodgers. However, it wasn't due to the fact that they didn't have the guys that could get it done. They just had a lot of guys injured. And so I think their offensive line needs to be reshuffled, and they have done that. Brian Bulaga going to the left side. Marshall Newhouse probably going to be kicked inside the guard position. And so the Packers are going to do some shuffling, but I think they do need a right tackle. That is for a fact. They also could use another guard. And as we all know, the center position was a mess last year, but I think you might have found your guy inside at the center position. So offensive line, definitely a need. Linebacker as well, because last year I think your depth was really tested all along this football team, especially on the offensive line and linebacker. I think you were really exposed last year in the fact that you didn't have a lot of depth on your offensive line, nor at the linebacker position. You were tested in many different ways, and you could argue that you failed some of those tests, especially at the linebacker and offensive line positions. You didn't have a lot of depth in those positions, and when injuries started to take effect, you really weren't ready to step up to the plate and fill in those holes. So another position of need for the Packers is linebacker. So let's look at the draft board. Round, pick, players, position, school. Long draft here, so let's get right to it. First round, 26th overall selection, defensive end out of UCLA, Dayton Jones. I absolutely love this pick. I didn't think that he'd be there for the Packers at 26. I honestly didn't. I said, if he is, I don't see how the Packers can pass him. But I didn't think he would. I thought the Colts would be smart enough to snag this guy at 24. But the Colts had other ideas. So guess what? Their loss, your gain. So you get Dayton Jones, who I feel like is the quintessential 5 technique in this league. And at defensive end, where you could use some help along your defensive line, Dayton Jones is your man. And to me, he's the best 5 technique in this draft. And it's not even close. This guy is a load at 6'4", at 280. This guy is a man beast. He's huge. And not only is he huge, but he's athletic with that frame. I mean, at the Senior Bowl, he was the only guy. The only guy. And there were a plethora of guys that could get to the quarterback. He was the only one that I saw really take it to the first overall pick in this draft, Eric Fisher. He took it to Eric Fisher. No one else did, but Dayton Jones did, because he's got a combination of size and speed and power that I don't think is matched in this draft. And I absolutely think Dayton Jones is a steal for you at 26, honestly, because you're a team that could use a guy like this, but you're not supposed to be able to get your hands on a guy like this. He's not supposed to be here for you. But the other teams in front of you dropped the football and allowed you to pick it up in the form of Dayton Jones. It's just, honestly, it's not fair, because he can get to the quarterback from the defensive end position. He can stop the run. He's a brick wall in the run game. So he does it all out here. I absolutely love Dayton Jones. And he's a tough guy. His name sounds tough, Dayton Jones. He is tough, and frankly, you got yourself a home run in the first round in the form of the defensive end out of UCLA, Dayton Jones. So, as you all know, the Green Bay Packers can put it on the board. Packers. Doom, 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 doom. Go, Pat, go. You got a home run in the first round. Dayton Jones, defensive end out of UCLA. So, we move on to the second round. 61st overall selection. This is from the San Francisco 49ers. You get running back out of Alabama, Eddie Lacy. This is another example of the Packers winning. Winning? Duh. How did this guy get to you at pick 61 in the second round? Utterly amazing. People were scared away by the medical, which I can honestly say I don't understand it because, yes, there are some medical issues here, but there's small lingering issues. It's not like this guy has a degenerative knee and it's going to chronically get worse and worse over time. He just has nagging injuries. And everyone has nagging injuries in the National Football League. This is a really good football player. Simply put, he's another running back in this long lineage of Alabama running backs who have made it to the National Football League, who are extremely physical and gifted. This guy is probably a little bit more gifted than people give him credit for. He can catch the football out of the backfield. He's great in pass pro. And oh yeah, he can run the football. Is he extremely fast? Does he have a lot of top-end speed? Absolutely not. But what he lacks in top-end speed, he gives you in toughness, quickness, and I think people underrate his feet. His feet are excellent. He gets in and out of cuts, breaks, makes people miss, is strong. You get the full package here with Eddie Lacy. All right, at 5'11", 230, this guy is built like a truck. If I had money, I tell you what I'd do. I'd go downtown, get an Eddie Lacy or two. Crazy about Eddie Lacy. Yeah, I'm crazy about Eddie Lacy. And I tell you what, the Packers are too. They got themselves a steal in the second round. How did this happen? How was everyone negligent enough to allow the Packers to get their hands on Eddie Lacy? Look, the Packers didn't have a run game. Now they do. And they're not done yet. We'll talk about their other selection, which complements this so very well. But in the meantime, let's just finish up Eddie Lacy. You got yourself an absolute workhorse here in the second round, pick 61, running back out of Alabama, Eddie Lacy. It's another... Wow, that one's still traveling. It's another home run. With the round, the pick, and the player all combined together, it's a no-doubter. This is a tape-measure shot here in the second round with the running back out of Alabama, Eddie Lacy. The Packers go back-to-back jacks in the first and second round with their selections, and they really, really got some excellent value where they selected in the first two rounds. Amazing. All right, so let's clean up some needs real quick. Packers took care of defensive line with the Dayton Jones selection in the first round. They also took care of running back with Eddie Lacy in the second round. So Packers getting some needs knocked down right away. They're not wasting any time. This is what the Packers do. The Packers are excellent at drafting. This is what they do. Some people are great at free agency. Some people are great with the books. The Packers are great with acquiring talent via the draft. This is what they do. So you look at the fourth round. And let me just stop right here quickly and go over this and why this is so important. Rounds 4 and 5, to me, are where you build your football team. You know, the top half of the draft, first, second, third round, you're supposed to get players that are really good that can help you right now. The bottom half of the draft is where you fill out your roster in terms of guys that can give you help on special teams. Probably won't make your roster, but here in the fourth and fifth round, that's where the meat and potatoes of your football team come from. And the Packers understand it. Look how many picks they have in the fourth and fifth round. That's where you fill out your roster right there. That's where your team is actually built. That's where you get all of the guys that will contribute to your football team for the next 5 to 7 years. Right here in the fourth and fifth round. You've got players already on your team. This is how you build for the future right here. Fourth and fifth round selections. And the Packers, they do it so well. So let's start with the first of 3 fourth round selections for the Packers. Fourth round selection, 109th selection from the New Orleans Saints. Offensive tackle out of Colorado, David Bakhtiari. And Bakhtiari is a guy that is drafted as a tackle. And the Packers selected 2 straight tackles. And we'll talk about this a little bit. Bakhtiari, to me, is a guy that is probably going to kick inside. Both of these guys aren't going to be guards. Some people think that neither one of them are slated to play tackle at the next level. I disagree. I think one of them has to be a tackle, and I think that one is going to be your next selection. I think Bakhtiari is going to be the one that kicks inside to guard because I just don't think he's athletic enough to play tackle, and I don't think he's big enough to play tackle. At 6'4", 299, so we're talking about a guy that's basically 300 pounds, but he fits a Packer tackle, honestly, because a lot of the Packer tackles are lean. You know how you see these big, sloppy offensive linemen who are tackles, big guys, 6'6", 330 pounds. The Packers usually get the lean guys, the slender guys, the 6'4", 295, 6'4", 310 guys, but they're lean. They handle their weight well. He's another one of those type of guys. However, I don't think he's quick enough to be a tackle. And I think his game more so translates to inside at the guard position, where a lack of speed won't kill you. A lack of foot speed won't get you killed necessarily, because you've got a guy on your left and the right. When you're not fast and you don't have help to the outside, it's all you. You're the one that has to protect. When you're a guard and you're a little slower foot, guess what? You've got help inside and outside. So I think Bakhtiari fits a little bit better inside at the guard position, but he's a really good football player, okay? Very productive. He understands what he has to do at the offensive line position, whether it's tackle or guard. I think he's smart enough to make the transition inside. And so I think it's a triple for the Packers with the offensive tackle out of Colorado in the 4th round at pick 109, David Bakhtiari. I think it's a triple because I think he's a guy that can come inside and can play right away. I think this guy can start for you day one in 2013. Will he? I don't think so. I don't think so. But if you need him to, I think he's smart enough to understand what the Packers are going to ask of him. I think he's going to make that transition inside seamlessly. And I think you're getting a guy that's going to be able to come in and help you right away or down the road. Either way, you've got a solid pick here in the 4th round in the form of David Bakhtiari, tackle out of Colorado. It's a triple for the Packers. You look at your second 4th round selection. 122nd pick, tackle out of Cornell, J.C. Tretter. To me, this is the guy that's going to stick at the tackle position. I think that Bakhtiari is going to kick inside, and a lot of people think Tretter needs to kick inside as well. But at 6'4", 300 and about 5 to 10 pounds, I think he's more suited because his feet are excellent. He's quick. His feet are good. He's not as long as you would look for at the tackle position, but I'm fine. I'm fine with what he brings to the table from a measurable standpoint. I'm fine. I think that J.C. Tretter is going to do fine. He was excellent at Cornell, at an Ivy League school. So, of course, the competition wasn't as great, but he dominated. I don't care where you play at, who you play against. You can't help what you end up playing against. If you go to a Division II school, so what? You're already there. Make the best of it. Dominate the competition. If you think you're better and you think you deserve to be in the National Football League, dominate. Well, he went to an Ivy League school. Of course, he chose that. So the competition around him probably not as great as you would see around the college football landscape. So what? You went to an Ivy League school, dominate the competition. That's what J.C. Tretter did. And so he's got a nasty streak in him. So does Bakhtiari, and I think that's why Bakhtiari will make a wonderful guard, because he's nasty, he's mean, for no reason. And I love my offensive linemen to have a nasty disposition. Both of these guys have it, and I think that J.C. Tretter is going to be your right tackle moving forward. I think that Marshall Newhouse kicking inside, Balaga moving to the left side, leaves a glaring need at the right tackle position. You got some guys on your roster like Andrew Datko that I would love to see a little bit more of. But I wouldn't be surprised if a guy like J.C. Tretter came off the pace. Just like one of those beautiful Clydesdales. Down the stretch, they go. And a guy like J.C. Tretter comes from the outside to win that right tackle position. To me, it's another triple in the 4th round because you're getting a guy that can not only help you in 2013, but possibly can help you moving down the road. And so I think here's a guy in J.C. Tretter that could be a starter for you for years to come. So the offensive tackle out of Cornell in the 4th round at pick 122, J.C. Tretter is another triple for me for the Green Bay Packers. So now we finish up your 4th round selections at 125. This pick is from the Denver Broncos, running back out of UCLA, Jonathan Franklin. Wow. So you go from absolutely no running game whatsoever to a perfectly complemented backfield. How does that happen? Unbelievable. So not only do you absolutely steal, highway robbery, Eddie Lacy, but Jonathan Franklin is still sitting there for you at pick 125. What in the Sam Hill is going on here? How did that happen? So you get the power back, the bruiser, the guy that can do it all, the 3-down back in Eddie Lacy, and then you get the perfect complement to him. A one cut and go back in the form of Jonathan Franklin out of UCLA. Unbelievable. So you get the guy that can catch the football out of the backfield. You get the guy that I think a lot of people underrate what he can do in pass pro, and the guy that you can hand it to. And does he have great top end speed? No. But he can make guys miss. He has excellent vision. He sees everything. And then if the guy that's chasing him doesn't have elite speed, he won't catch him. He won't catch Jonathan Franklin. And so I'm just amazed at how this thing all came together for you. I mean, you had to be smiling in the war room. The Packers, their brass had to be, we're winning. We are absolutely winning. The rich just get richer here because you go from the one glaring deficiency on your football team being the running back position. I mean, you can talk about offensive line all you want. People can talk about, look, I didn't think your offensive line was that bad. I just thought you had a series of injuries and you were exposed. Guys needed to be flip-flopped around. You had some guys maybe out of position, and you had some injuries that really hurt you, and you suffered because of it. But the glaring weakness of your offense to me was the running back position. You didn't have a guy that scared me. I played the Packers. The goal was to get to Aaron Rodgers because we didn't have to worry about the running game hurting us. Just get to Rodgers. Because if he gets the ball in the playmaker's hands at the receiver position, we're in trouble. So just get to Rodgers. Now, you got to worry about the running game. And the minute you start focusing in on the running game, guess what? The best quarterback in the league is going to get you. Unreal. So you get a guy in Jonathan Franklin that can stick his foot in the ground and go much faster than slow. And it's not fair. It's honestly not fair. It's another triple for the Green Bay Packers in the 4th round, running back out of UCLA, 125th pick overall, Jonathan Franklin. Unbelievable. The Packers are just absolutely killing this draft right now. So let's look at the needs board. Once again, Packers get 2 offensive linemen back-to-back in the 4th round in the form of David Bakhtiari and J.C. Treader. So we take a couple of lines through the offensive line. They get another running back, another stud in the form of Jonathan Franklin. And the Packers are absolutely destroying, obliterating this draft as we speak. We go to the 5th round, and again, here we are building this football team through the draft. 2 5th-round selections. 159th overall selection, cornerback out of Iowa, Micah Hyde. 6-foot corner, right around 200 pounds. The thing I love about Micah Hyde, he's aggressive, not only in going after the football, because this guy can catch the football, he can make plays on the football. He fits what a Packer is in the secondary, because every single Packer secondary defender has a nose for the football and is looking to make a play. You know who he reminds me of? Casey Hayward. He reminds me of Casey Hayward. A little bit longer, but a guy that a lot of people kind of slept on in college and is going to come in and pick passes off. Casey Hayward came into the league and just started making interceptions right away. And here's a guy in Micah Hyde that I think can do the same exact thing. I think he's a little bit different from Hayward in the sense that he's a little bit more physical, can come up and tackle a little bit better. And I don't think he possesses the top-end speed to be a consistent corner on the outside. I think Hayward was a little bit more gifted in that sense. But I think that the Packers wouldn't be in the wrong here if they wanted to switch this guy to safety. Just because he's not afraid to tackle and he can make plays on the football. And then if you need him to, he can drop down into the slot and play the slot receiver, play that tight end, and he's an added bonus there. So I just think that Micah Hyde gives you a lot of what you're already looking for if you're the Packers in your secondary. He fits a Green Bay Packer, and that's what the Packers do. They draft guys that fit what they do. And here's another example of that. In the 5th round, pick 159, cornerback out of Iowa, Micah Hyde, who is also a triple for me. He just fits what the Packers want to do. Playmaking guy that's going to get his hands on footballs. Very strong hands, so when he gets his hands on them, he's going to pick it off. Not afraid to come up and run support and tackle. I just think that if you're playing some zone coverage, he can be out there. You don't want him in man-to-man coverage because guys can take advantage of the fact that he doesn't have great top-end speed. But if you're playing zone coverage and he gets to look at the quarterback, see what's going on, see how the play is transpiring, he can make plays on the football. So I think he's a better fit at safety potentially. But if you want him out there in zone coverage as a cornerback, I'm fine with that because this guy is a playmaker. It's a triple for the cornerback out of Iowa in the 5th round, Micah Hyde. So now we're going to wrap up the 5th round with another selection at 167, defensive end out of Mississippi State. This is a compensatory pick, Josh Boyd. High motor guy. I love defensive linemen who have a motor that never goes cold. Okay? That's Josh Boyd. Never, ever goes cold. If he's in the game, you're getting everything he's got in the tank on every single play. And I can appreciate that. At 6'3", 6'4", 310, 315 pounds, Josh Boyd is a guy that I'm not sure fits into what you want him to do in your 3-4 defense. He, to me, isn't like Dayton Jones. Now, if you're just looking for a guy to stop the run, Josh Boyd is your man. If you're looking for him to be at the 5 technique and potentially get pressure on the quarterback, I don't think you're going to get what you're looking for. Now, I don't think you can ask this guy to go inside at the nose in a 3-4 defense. I don't think he's that stout. And I don't think he's going to get to utilize his quickness. And that's why I don't know if it's a great fit. I thought that he would be a guy that would fit a little bit better in a 4-3 defense at the 3 technique. Because I think that he's a guy that is very quick, can knife in, has a great swim move, can knife inside, the guard in the center and get in there and get pressure or disrupt a running play before it even gets started. You put him at the 5 technique, and I'm not sure that that quickness benefits him anymore. Because tackles are going to beat him when talking about quickness. He's not that quick to beat tackles. He's quick enough to beat guards and centers, not quick enough to beat tackles. He's strong enough to stand up at the point of attack and stop the run. But as far as getting to the quarterback from the 5 technique defensive end position, I don't see that happening. So if that's what the Packers are looking for, a guy that's going to be stout against the run, and I think that's what they're looking for out of Josh Boyd because you were hurt in the run game last year, then he's a guy that's going to help you. But if you're looking for someone that's the total package like a Dayton Jones, you're barking up the wrong tree. Either way, it's a solid selection in the 5th round pick, 167 defensive end out of Mississippi State. Josh Boyd, to me, is a double. Solid pick, a guy that can help you in the run game. Don't think he's going to get a lot of pressure on the quarterback, though. So now we move on to the 6th round, pick 193, linebacker out of Illinois State, Nate Palmer. Pass rushing specialist, right here. A guy that can get to the quarterback. And you need that because we've got questions about Nick Perry. He gets injured, and I already wasn't a huge Nick Perry fan anyway. Coming out of USC, he was a defensive end with his hand in the ground and a big guy at that. We're talking about a 270-pound defensive end at USC. He might have been pushing 280. And you ask him to take his hand out of the ground and stand up. So he's a big guy. You're asking him to move a lot of that weight to the outside. The run game, I don't have a problem with Nick Perry. But getting to the quarterback, I had questions. Nate Palmer, though, he's a pure pass rusher. 6'1", 240. Don't ask him to do anything else. Go after the quarterback. And that's what he can do. He's athletically gifted. He can get after the quarterback. And that's what he did at college. He got after the quarterback. At Illinois State, not a big program, a Division II school. But what he did was he dominated. And that's all I ask you to do. Dominate the competition. That's what he did. He got after the quarterback consistently at school. And so you're looking for this guy to come in and be like an Eric Walden for you, except better. Eric Walden didn't get to the quarterback. Eric Walden was great in the run game. Eric Walden didn't get to the quarterback. Nate Palmer will get to the quarterback. And so he's your new Eric Walden, except better, if you can understand that concept. He's Eric Walden 2.0. So I love this pick. I think you got a really good football player in the form of Nate Palmer, the linebacker out of Illinois State, in the 6th round. I think it's another double for the Packers because I don't think this guy's going to stop the run for you. but you don't need him to stop the run for you. You need this guy to provide depth along that linebacking corps. And when in a pinch and you need a guy to come in on 3rd and 9 to give you some more pass rushing depth, that's when you slide Nate Palmer in the game when no one's looking and have him get to the quarterback. So it's another double for me for the Packers in the 6th round with Nate Palmer, the linebacker out of Illinois State. Let's go to the needs board quickly. Packers get a linebacker in the form of Nate Palmer. That takes care of a need. So we'll put an X through that. And let's get back to the draft now. We're going to clean it up with 3 7th-rounders for the Packers. 216th overall selection. This is from the Tennessee Titans. Wide receiver out of Grand Valley State, Charles Johnson. Look, this right here, Charles Johnson, could be the steal of the Packers draft if he pans out. If the Packers get what they think they're getting, this could be the steal of the draft for the Packers in the 7th round. Small school guy, wasn't invited to the combine, lit it up at his pro day at Grand Valley State. We're talking about a 6'2", 215-pound height, weight, speed specimen. Height, 6'2", check. Weight, 215, check. Speed, 4.3, 940, check. So this is one of those height, weight, speed specimens that goes under the radar. He started off at Eastern Kentucky, got into some trouble, was dismissed from that program, had to start all over, went to a JUCO, found his way back to Grand Valley State, and absolutely lit it up in 2 consecutive years. Okay? So, high production at Grand Valley State. Absolutely. And that's a powerhouse program in Division II. Okay? Grand Valley State is where careers are made. Division II powerhouse. And he went there and was absolutely phenomenal for them for 2 consecutive years. And high production. Again, you know how I feel about a small school guy. Go in, dominate. I don't care who they put in front of you. I don't care what's around you. Dominate. Only you can control what you can control, and you can control you. Dominate. That's what Charles Johnson did. And with the measurables off the charts like they are at 6'2", 215, 4'3", 940, the Packers are just adding to whatever they feel like they just lost. No more Donald Driver. No more Greg Jennings. So what? Here's a guy that you get on the sneak. No one's watching. No one's realizing what kind of value might be here in the form of Charles Johnson. So the Packers, they do a little bit of homework, a little bit of probing and searching around, sniffing, and they find a guy, a diamond in the rough in Charles Johnson. So, yeah, you've got a guy like Jarrett Boykins on your roster. Forget about him. Here's the new guy on the block right here. If he comes in, works extremely hard, and does the things the Packers think he can do, you got yourself a hidden gem in the 7th round. I'm absolutely in love with this pick. I'm actually drooling. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to wipe my mouth a little bit because Charles Johnson right here for me, one of those guys that is freakishly athletic, and if he is what you think he's going to be, Packers just absolutely did it again. And I don't understand how they're doing it, but they're doing it. So, in the 7th round, pick 216, wide receiver out of Grand Valley State, Charles Johnson, is a triple for me. And what you'll find around the league is a lot of times in the 7th round, throwaway picks. Teams go and just get stuff in the 7th round. Packers aren't doing that. They just understand the draft game. They understand what it takes to build a football team. These aren't throwaway picks in the 7th round. These are guys that they feel like actually have the potential to help their football team. Maybe not in 2013. But if Charles Johnson is who I think he's going to be, he's not a guy that you can sneak onto your practice squad when no one's looking. People will take notice of this guy in the preseason, and you're going to have to put him on your active roster if you want to keep him. Because I think he has the potential to be that good. So it's a triple for me in the 7th round. Charles Johnson, receiver out of Grand Valley State. We move on to your second 7th round selection. 224, Kevin Dorsey. This is from the Dallas Cowboys, wide receiver out of Maryland. Look, he suffered from lack of a quarterback in his senior year. He's a 5-year player. So you get the red shirt, 5-year senior. And in his junior season or his 4th year in college, he had 45 grabs and was looking like he was on the cusp of starting to do some big things at Maryland. His senior year comes along. They have issues at the quarterback position at Maryland. It was a train wreck at the quarterback position. He only gets 18 grabs. So all of a sudden, your stock that was starting to rise a little bit plummeted all in one season because of factors that you couldn't control. So you get another really good product down here in the 7th round in Kevin Dorsey because he's a polished receiver at 6'2", 210. He's a polished receiver. Really good hands. Solid feet. Isn't the top-end speed guy like Charles Johnson is, but he's not slow either. He's going to run a 4.5 for you. He's going to run a 4.45 for you. So he's not a guy that like Charles Johnson can just get up there like that. He's not a 0 to 60 guy. But what he is give me 6 steps. Give me 6 steps and I'll get to top speed. So he gets in and out of his breaks well. Good feet. Really soft and smooth hands. Can catch the football. Can get up to top speed after giving him some space to work with. He's a straight line speed guy. So you get a really complete receiver right here. I mean, he's not really a 7th round selection. You got a guy that probably could have been selected in the 5th round, but because of the quarterback issues at Maryland last year, he had no production to stand on. And so he fell to the 7th round, right in your lap. You get another solid player in a position that you have no business getting a really solid player at in the 7th round at pick 224, receiver out of Maryland. Kevin Dorsey is a double for me. You shouldn't be hitting solid doubles and triples in the 7th round, but you are because you understand what you need to do in the 7th round, and players are just sitting there just to take. And the Packers are taking best player available on their boards. So now we finish up your draft in the 7th round at 232, linebacker out of South Florida, Sam Barrington. And to me, you need a linebacker help. You need more depth around your linebacking corps. So a guy like Sam Barrington makes plenty of sense. He's a do-everything type of linebacker. Forces fumbles, makes tackles, does everything you want. All right, so he's a guy that's going to play special teams if you need him to, which you will if he makes the roster. He's a guy that in a pinch can start for you. He's a guy that's going to give you depth at the linebacker position, something you lacked in 2012. So it makes sense. Solid player at South Florida, did everything they asked him to do, got pressure on the quarterback, forced fumbles, made tackles. Whatever you wanted him to do, that's what Sam Barrington did. It's a solid selection for the Packers in the 7th round. Linebacker out of South Florida. Look, at 6'1", 240 pounds, he just flies around the field. Whatever you need done, he does it. Now, is he going to be able to run that freely and fly around the field and do what he did in college at 6'1", 240 pounds? Probably not. Probably not. But he's going to get in the weight room. He's probably going to put on another 10 pounds of muscle or so, which will make him a fine candidate to play inside. Does he have the most ideal height? No. At 6'1", it'd be great if he was 6'3". But look, you can't change height. He's 6'1". He is what he is. Have him put on 10 pounds of muscle and have this guy just be a thumper in the middle of your defense. Why not? So I like Sam Barrington a lot. Think he's a solid selection in the 7th round where you got him. Gives you added value on special teams and on that linebacking corps. And I look at this, and by the way, he's a double. So I look at this draft as a whole, and I just say the Packers absolutely murdered the draft. They killed it. It's not alive anymore because the Packers took its life. It's gone. They won in this draft because from pick 1 to pick 11, there was no drop-off. There isn't a pick where I look and I say, I really don't know what the Packers were doing here. And in every draft that I've done thus far, there's at least one pick where I say, I'm not really a big fan of this pick. Don't really see the value here. I don't really see the direction that the team is going in. But, hey, they made the selection. They must have some type of use in mind for this player, but I don't see it right now. There's not one of those picks here in the draft of the Green Bay Packers. There just isn't. From the first pick of Dayton Jones to the last pick of Sam Barrington, I see the value in every single pick, every single selection. And so, for only the 3rd time in this draft wrap-up series, I've got a triple on my hands. The Packers absolutely murdered this draft. They absolutely killed it. Home run in Dayton Jones. Home run in Eddie Lacy. Triple for Bakhtiari. Triple for J.C. Treader. Triple for Jonathan Franklin. Triple for Micah Hyde. Double for Josh Boyd. Double for Nate Palmer. Triple for Charles Johnson. Double for Kevin Dorsey. Double for Sam Barrington. Average it all up, you get an aggregate of a triple. And it's a triple. Easy. Easy. Look, I absolutely love this draft. The Packers just get it. Let's clean up this needs board. And Packers get another linebacker in the form of Sam Barrington. And so, no safeties. That's a little alarming. Packers must feel good about what they have at the safety position. I don't. I think you could have used a guy in this draft to help you at the safety position. And there were definitely some safeties to be had in this draft at the end. But I feel like the Packers must feel good about what they have at the safety position. That's fine. If you feel like you have what you need at the safety position, carry on. So I look at this draft and I say, what more do you want? Maybe a safety would have been nice, but what more do you want? The Packers absolutely took care of business in this draft. Taking care of business every day. Taking care of business every way. That's what the Packers just did in this draft. So it's a triple for the Packers in this draft. They absolutely smashed the cover off of the ball here. It didn't quite get over the fence, but it went off the top of the fence, and they got a stand-up triple, did the Green Bay Packers in the 2013 draft wrap-up.
Draft Zone.